My name is Billy Ballingy. I'm a former member of the Cedar Hill ISD School Board. Here today to give you an update on property tax rates and the result of propositions A, B, C, and D that will be on the ballot of anyone living within the CHISD boundaries. First, CHISD considered the tax rate twice. The first time was on June the 20th. And under that tax rate proposal, which is what I initially looked at and believed had been passed, the average property owner would have had an increase in property taxes of $736 with a little change. Unbeknownst to me, the school board came back about a month later and adopted a slightly lower tax rate. So you'll see on the screen the tax rate for the average home value in Cedar Hill of $325,000 plus dollars. We'll see an increase in taxes of $608. It's a little bit less than what I initially reported of $736. That was my mistake. I just did not see, when I went through the board minutes, somehow missed that August 22nd and apologize for that. I'm kind of glad this happened though, because it brought to light some information that I was previously unaware of. Number one, the ISD is correct that a good bit of this is because your value of homes has increased substantially this year. That is absolutely the case. But I learned at the election site, someone asked me to look at the CHISD advertising, and I learned something for the first time that I had not noticed when I looked at those numbers. CHISD sometimes has said if it passes, it'll cost $15 a year or $20 a year. I won't go into whether those are accurate or not. What I do know is this. I know that the numbers that are on this chart are prescribed by state law. The original tax rate is a public notice that CHISD must issue. And we go into that a little bit in another video that I did. These calculations are prescribed by law. They cannot fudge them in any way, shape, or form. The numbers that are on this chart for the current rates follow those numbers that are required by the state of Texas. And this is the way the state of Texas directs school districts to look at it. Now, the most important part of the video is this. I learned, and you can find this if you go to the Cedar Hill ISD website under voter information, that unbeknownst to me, the district intends for what I call balloon payments to pay back the largest portion of this bond. When I mean balloon payments, I mean that for that large proposition of $207 million, they are going to issue those bonds in chunks, 3 different chunks. You don't need it all at one time. The first time they issue a bond, their payments will be entirely in interest, and it will only cost them $1.6, close to $1.7 million a year. But the second year, that increases. Now, when their expenses in interest or principal increase, these propositions B, C, and D, which are the bond portions, require us to pay that increase in principal payment and interest payment. So when their payment goes from 1.6 plus million to 3.5 million, we will have authorized them, if these pass, to increase our property taxes so they can make that payment. These bonds increase. Sometimes they go down a little bit, sometimes they go up a little bit, but the general increase is to increase through the life of the bond. So for the first bond, it starts at 1.6, close to $1.7 million a year. And by the time it is paid, they're paying $9.6 million a year. The second bond starts at $3.1 million in interest and principal payments in the first year, and it goes up to $10 million a year before it's paid off. The third issuance of bonds starts at $3 million in payments a year, and it goes up to over 12 million payments a year. And that last payment is not made until the year 2050. For Proposition A, which is the voter-approved tax ratification election, we authorize Cedar Hill ISD to increase our property taxes that amount for forever. But for the bonds, Proposition B, C, and D, CHISD every year sets our taxes based upon what they are paying in principal and interest. So what this means is, if you vote for Propositions B, C, and D, then you are authorizing them to increase our property tax rates through the year 2050 when that last one is paid off. That's a lot of increase in taxes, and is one of the reasons that I will be voting against all four of the propositions. You may see it differently. It may be okay with you to spend that for what they're going to spend it on. That's legitimate. I will be voting against it. I apologize for the mistake that I made on this initial flyer. It has been corrected. And please spread the word that the average homeowner will pay $608 additional dollars versus $736. Thank you so much for your time.